Imagine a future where your right to work, claim benefits, or even access basic services isn't decided by paper documents, but by a digital ID stored on your phone. A system that promises convenience, security, and speed, yet raises deep fears about surveillance, exclusion, and control. The UK government says this is the future, but critics warn it could become the most powerful tool the state has ever held over its citizens. So, is this digital revolution a step forward or a step too far? The government has unveiled its most ambitious tech overhaul in years, a nationwide digital ID scheme. By the end of this parliament, every citizen and legal resident will need one to prove their right to work. No more paper passports, no more photocopies of utility bills. Your phone becomes your official ID. Ministers insist this isn't about creating a compulsory ID card system. You won't be stopped in the street and asked to show it, but if you want to work, the digital ID will be mandatory. The government says it's not just about immigration control. Over time, the same ID could be used to apply for driving licenses, access childcare, claim welfare, or even log into tax records. In short, one digital key unlocks almost every major government service. It will live in the gov.uk digital wallet, alongside the planned digital driving license, turning smartphones into the gateway for everyday life in Britain. But while ministers talk up convenience, the sheer scale of the change has already set alarm bells ringing. For Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the pitch is simple. This isn't about control, it's about fairness. Ministers argue that illegal working fuels criminal gangs, draws people into dangerous channel crossings, and undercuts wages for those who play by the rules. A mandatory digital ID, they claim, will shut down that pull factor once and for all. But it's also being sold as a win for ordinary people. No more digging through drawers for old bills, no more chasing paper records. Just one secure app on your phone, ready to prove who you are in seconds. Starmer calls it an enormous opportunity, a tool to protect borders and modernize Britain at the same time. It's part of his broader plan for change, aimed at proving Labour can be tough on illegal migration while still delivering a smoother, digital-first state. Ministers boast that countries like Estonia and Denmark have already transformed public life with similar systems. But here's where the shine begins to fade. Privacy groups warn that a nationwide digital ID creates a single point of failure, a massive target for hackers and hostile states. One breach, they argue, and millions of people's most sensitive details could spill into the wrong hands. Civil liberties campaigners call it a slippery slope to surveillance, where the government gains the power to track everyday life in ways we can barely imagine. Even small errors could spiral, get flagged incorrectly in the system, and suddenly your access to work, benefits, or healthcare might vanish overnight. And then there's the question of inclusion. Around 4 to 5 million people in Britain don't own a smartphone. What happens to them? Ministers promise face-to-face support and alternative options. But critics say digital-first systems always risk leaving the most vulnerable behind. To its supporters, this is modern efficiency. To its opponents, it's the quiet construction of a digital cage. And the backlash has been swift. Senior Conservative MP David Davis blasted the plan as profoundly dangerous, warning it hands the state powers no government should ever hold. Civil liberties groups argue it will drive undocumented workers further underground, creating an even bigger black market of exploitation. In Scotland and Northern Ireland, politicians have voiced alarm over Westminster's reach, questioning whether the scheme tramples on devolved powers. Even some Labour MPs are nervous, worried this could tarnish Starmer's modernising brand with accusations of authoritarianism. Meanwhile, rights campaigners like Big Brother Watch insist the scheme risks sleepwalking Britain into a surveillance society. Ministers may dismiss the outcry as political theater, but the criticism cuts across party lines and public opinion. The fight is no longer just about technology. It's about trust. And once that trust is lost, it may be impossible to win back. Turning bold promises into reality is where the cracks often appear. The UK has tried this before. Remember the Labour government's identity card scheme in the 2000s? It collapsed under public anger and privacy concerns. More recently, the the UK Verify project was scrapped after wasting hundreds of millions and failing to win trust. Ministers now point to success stories abroad. Estonia's seamless e-services, Australia's digital IDs used for banking, and Denmark's student records linked to job applications. They insist Britain can follow suit, but the challenges are daunting. Fast forward a few years, and two very different futures emerge. In one, the digital ID delivers exactly what ministers promise: faster services, fewer fraud cases, and a tougher crackdown on illegal working. Britain becomes a model of efficiency, with citizens swiping their phones to access everything from tax returns to childcare. But in the other scenario, the risks come home to roost. A major data breach exposes millions of identities. Vulnerable groups, from the elderly to the homeless, struggle to adapt and are pushed to the margins. The scheme slowly expands, first into welfare, then healthcare, maybe even voting, until opting out is no longer an option. And with every expansion, the chorus of critics grows louder, accusing Starmer's government of building a digital panopticon. For supporters, this is progress. For opponents, it's mission creep on a national scale. The truth is, nobody knows which future Britain is heading towards, but the stakes couldn't be higher. Keir Starmer calls digital ID an enormous opportunity, a chance to modernize Britain and make borders secure. But opponents see something far more dangerous, a system that could redefine the relationship between the citizen and the state. Will this be remembered as the moment Britain leapt into the digital age, or as the moment it sleepwalked into surveillance? The debate is only just beginning. Let us know what you think in the comments.